years in competitive Halo, as you started to allude to. It's impossible to really even describe it in only a few words. These guys have been on top of the world time and time again over the past few years. They've been contesting, of course, that Sentinels roster time and time again, oftentimes beating them. And really, it's a question of, are these guys the real deal for Infinite as well? And right now in the winners bracket, is looking like the answer is yes.
I look across the results from the winners bracket as well. It looks like it's very, very difficult to beat this Cloud9 roster. Everyone was kind of expecting it coming into the game. These are names that we're going to be talking about probably in grand finals for a long, long time when it comes to Halo Infinite. The speed and the pace at which they play the game, Andy, is something which they kind of redefined Halo back in Halo 5. And they've carried that over, if you've been watching them, yesterday in the bracket.
And they need to, because I think you and I have found it out, of course, grinding ranked, and I think anyone watching who's been playing as well has found this out pretty quick from the ranked playlist and watching scrims. Halo Infinite is a game that needs to be played very fast, and especially when you talk about objective game types, non-CTF objective game types, ball and strongholds, you're talking about the need to rotate very fast. So we're going to be looking for a lot of that early on in game 1 here on set.
Well, here we go then. We've been waiting for this moment, and I finally get to say it. It's our first game of the North American broadcast here. The Road to Rally begins, where we're back on LAN, and starting up, it's going to be Cloud9 versus eUnited as we have strongholds here on Recharge.
It's going to be a very, very fast-paced game off the break. Just like you said, we're going to be looking to see if teams start to lean more towards that AC setup and leave B, or if they try to get those trip cap rotations going. We've seen different strategies across day one. A lot of teams already showing that there's a big skill gap early on in this game, and that's unsurprising given the amount of play time these teams have had. But right now, here we go, head-to-head, C9 versus eUnited, our first match of the broadcast.
Keep your eyes out for some of these new pickups that you're seeing on the map as well. Some of the classic ones. That Mangler there is going to be very, very impactful at short range. One-shot beatdown, and you take your opponents out. We, of course, have the classic Halo sword back in there as well, Andy. We have camo. You combine those two together, and like a good friend of ours once said, that is the Predator combo.
It really is, and there's so much to worry about on this map in terms of not just equipment, not just weapons, but even power positions that are quickly emerging. We saw in day number 1, the teams that were able to take advantage of those were able to get into it. But here we go, game number 1 of the series, as we jump right into strongholds on Recharge.
And the first point of view we watch here on the broadcast is going to be Renegade. If you're new to Halo Esports, this man is a little bit special, and already, he almost managed to find the camo player and he'd take him down, but Renegade will be taken down for now. Looking across the board at the start, you have 2 players already fallen here from eUnited, so it looks like early control might have gone to eUnited. However, kills did favor, by the looks of things, Cloud9.
It's going to be a little AC hold, and we'll talk about the power positions through this game, and we'll take a look at just how these teams are trying to eagle eye the camo and able to eagle eye King Nick. And right there, you see a very, very fast eagle eye. Certainly, he would have gotten a call out there, but you might have heard it in scrims and matches yesterday. Players commenting that camo can be spotted, it can be eagle eyed, and that's what you just saw on screen there. So you might want to make sure your monitor settings are perfectly dialed. That's a very good eagle eye, very important play on the camo. 16-7 off the break.
It certainly is. Well, now we'll watch the point of view of Stella. He's got that Mangler, but he does not have the opportunity to fire as he's taken down almost immediately here. 3 players rotating towards C by the looks of things now for eUnited, and it's going to be Stella who's trying to just keep a reset onto B and maybe try and out-rotate them here, work towards A with a teammate.
Yeah, able to go right up to top control, just using that grapple to make sure he's able to hold those power positions. I already love what we're seeing. They're going to double back here, but running to 2 players at C, needs to be careful.
Spartan's going to back down for now. Stella, though, good call out coming in from a teammate as they move in to swoop him off the map and back into the respawn screen for just a few seconds here. And it looks like a lot of contention going down over at C at the moment. It will be turned over to eUnited, so an AC hold up at the moment for them to try and hold, to try and pick up kills. A trade at the start is going to be good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to check C really quick here. Start that cap. Needs to be careful, of course, all these angles that might be coming in. Knows he has to have his head on a swivel, watching both long haul and control, but actually gets back whack from sword ramp there. He will go down.
Sneaky, sneaky King Nick. One of the players I'm expecting to break out in Halo Infinite. We've known a lot about him, and there's one way to get a camo. Why put yourself in danger? Let the grapple shot do the work for you. I'm sure a lot of people watching right now are going, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm going to try that next time I'm in matchmaking. Not as easy as it looks sometimes, Andy. You have to be on point, but when you've got a sword in your back pocket, then all of a sudden you can be devastated, but you have to hit this shot, and he does manage to get the lunge with the sword to take the player out back elevator. But while all of this is going on, even though King Nick has managed to get the camo and the sword, it is going to be Cloud9 who are scoring at the moment.
Absolutely. Do want to point out as well, as he tries to stay alive here on A, that camo was eagle-eyed again, so that's the second time we've seen in this game just how easy camo has been to spot so far for these players as they get dinged. But in the end, it's very well played by King Nick. He plays that very calm, very cool, very collected as they'll maintain control of A here.
AC set up momentarily here for eUnited, and they need to put the pressure on a little bit. You can see the score at the bottom of your screen, 69-42, but ticking in the right way for eUnited as Rhino is going to drop down low here. Watch this underpass and see if that player is going to reach Chow. Rain above him, his teammate is going to be watching C with him, and this head glitch you can play here, Andy. Such a really strong position to try and hold down. Kills now falling to eUnited. That's 2 players fallen momentarily there for Cloud9, so they will be able to hold control, but it looks like a big push coming in on C. However, the reset will now come in.
Yeah, reset finally comes in. You made a great point there about C. Lots of different head glitch opportunities there when you're whether you're talking about the ramp or the actual turbine itself. Pretty hard to push C if a player is head glitching in any of those spots. Can make it really difficult to push in from long haul or control.
Let's see what Spartan can do here. It looks like he's just trying to position himself over at B and do some defensive work. However, he's having a dip dot dive and everything else combined together, and he can't do enough of it to survive for now. He will be taken down. 2 players now down on eUnited, and you can see total control was momentarily in the hands of Cloud9. Now just the 2 strongholds, but they're still scoring, Andy, and now they're around 20 seconds or so away from closing out game number 1.
Yeah, it's a pretty comfortable lead here as they'll need to take a little bit of time on the board here. They're going to hit the 100-point mark and now trying to make sure they're able to get this kill on double stack as well. Eventually, we'll go down. It's a good trade, though, as they try to win that battle bottom middle as well, and almost hitting the 100-point mark there, and a little under halfway until they close out the game here. But we'll see. It's still 104-59 now. Yeah,
my mistake there. I don't know why I said that. I'm getting slightly ahead of myself. We've, of course, played to 250 here on Strongholds on Halo Infinite, but BNAing in the control of Cloud9 for now. And one thing that's been very impressive to me, Andy, so far is the ability for Cloud9 to rotate between the strongholds. They're not just making holds. They're kind of seeing where the spawns come in, and then they're backing up. They're recognizing the situation where the stronghold is available, rotating away and prioritizing getting that control, as it's going to be Renegade with the camo, who's putting on somewhat of a show.
That was 4 dead momentarily as well. That's going to just let them continue to put some more points on the board here, as Renegade's also going to go ahead and camo cap on C as well.
We'll get another one as well. Mangler in the hands is not a nice thing you want to walk around a corner. A little bit of a scary surprise to find. But Renegade here looking at the statistics as well. 8 kills to his name, 7 deaths as well. So just a little bit pause. But one player who's standing out at the moment, you look at Eco. He's 13-5 at the moment in this game, Andy. That's some nuts stuff, and that's nuts from Renegade.
Gonna be very happy with that kill as well on A door. That's a big kill. Anytime you're able to get those kind of kills top A onto the catwalk, they're gonna start to open things up. Will eventually die. It's a nice play by Spartan, bottom mid to get that kill on top control. However, he'll be taken down right away.
Full control is Cloud9's at the moment. The double stack from eUnited onto C will get them control momentarily of 1 stronghold, but it won't get them scoring. So eUnited struggling to get somewhat of a foothold at the moment, and it's something I think we're going to say about a lot of teams, a lot of players when they go up against Cloud9 here, Andy. They are just stifling them. 202 the score to 59. This is starting to get a little bit ugly here for EU.
It absolutely is. Look at this. Just gonna be able to fly in with the backward. Look at the timing there. Should be able to pick up 2. Does do that. And perfect timing there. Like, keep in mind, that's not an easy route. When you are pushing in a door like that, you have to anticipate that you'll be watched from areas like top, like batteries, and trying to get in that A door can be difficult, but perfectly times it. Does Eco, and they will continue scoring here. Now just 30 points away from closing out game number 1, and potentially very quickly.
16-6, Kevin Smith. Eco is playing out of his mind at the start of the tournament today, and you can see he's going to move in here, get the reset on B. The man is really doing everything as he adds another kill to his tally now. 17-6 for Eco, but 2 players are finally going to slow him down for now. But look at the pressure that's on C here, Andy. They have control of A, they have control of C, and eUnited just being forced into B here in the open, where you can only expect they're going to take shots pretty soon. Yeah, we'll see if they're able to get C here. If they do, they might make a little bit of a game of it, and I think winning some key battles over there on C. Yes, they will eventually get C, and they'll score for just a moment, but no room for error here, of course. It goes without saying. 10 more points before C9 closes this one out, and my God, have they ever made this a quick strongholds on recharge. It's been very, very impressive from Cloud9, like you say, and it's going to be up to Rhino to make a big play. However, he's getting double teamed immediately, and that is the buddy system that C9 love to use. They're never alone. There's always fire. There's always a friend to call upon in those battles, and at the moment I think this one might be done. One more push maybe for eUnited on one of these strongholds, but you can see this is a desperate push push towards the end to try and get something done. Looking at A in the bottom corner at the moment. They managed to get one, but then a rotation from C9 secures them B, but not over yet. 2:48. Yes, that's the score. They only need a couple of seconds, but it is eUnited in control of A and C.
Yeah, there's an example of the end game scoring that we talked about. As you saw, they started to cap that immediately halted C9 at 2:48. So that's going to extend the game just a little bit longer here, but really only a matter of time. It'll just take one more C9 push.
Renegade doing crazy things, winning that 1v1 battle. B, C, they're going to be in control, and that means that game one will go to C9. And look at that scoreline, Andy, 250 to 87. That is the C9 show as they got one in the series.
Wow, and was that ever a fast game? Anyone who's been playing in the ranked playlist knows just how quick that was, and the scoreline maybe doesn't even do it justice. Just an absolute dominance from them, C9, and like we said, Halo Infinite, a very, very fast rotation-heavy game. You need to be on top of picking up exactly where the enemies might be spawning, whether or not you're engaging early and forcing a split spawn. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the stats from that game number one as well.
Yeah, not too much to talk about kills-wise from the stats we could see, but captures, it was Renegade actually doing a lot of work alongside Stella, getting inside those strongholds, doing the dirty work, so to speak, to make sure those points were ticking in the right direction. But I mean, it was a swarm. Constantly, it felt like eUnited just had two dead. They were fighting 2v4 a lot of the time on the map. And when that kind of things happen, it gives you free reign, as we now see those stats. And it's all about Eco. Like I mentioned, 17 kills, 9 deaths, most assists on his team. You can't ask for any more out of Eco.
No, I mean, a 10.7 KDA, just only player to hit the double digits there, and looked so strong. Really can't say enough about how impressive C9 looked there. And I think we saw it in a few games from day one onset, but there's a few teams here at this event so far that seem to be playing a very different game in terms of pacing compared to the other teams in the bracket. After what we just saw from C9 in that game number one, they are certainly and continue to be one of those teams that knows exactly where they need to be and where they also need to make sure that they get around the map. And they're just doing it so well right now.
Well, they certainly are indeed, and we'll take a look at some of the highlights of that first game as well, just to remind you, if you're joining us, how the action went down, and it was pretty much all the C9 show. This was a really interesting play as well. Like you mentioned, Camo, you can spot it. The monitors have improved, and the graphics have improved in games since back when we first saw Camo involved in Halo, so not quite as devastating a power-up as it used to be, but you're still going to have the eyes, Andy. You've still got to be able to spot that Camo player out, and not only that, do the damage as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Some battles here bottom middle as well, but it was just really dominating control from C9 the whole time. As you see the way they were working together, and just some great examples here of them picking up multiple kills at once. Also, just the way that they were able to team up and fly into strongholds together just made a huge difference. And I think it was pretty clear once they started to pull away around that 100-point mark that they were not looking back.
One thing to point out as well here on recharge strongholds, you know, classically in Halo, usually when you cap a stronghold, it's in a little bit of a vulnerable area. I feel like you can really fight from actually inside and around the strongholds a lot more here on Halo Infinite, which makes it even more unpredictable about where players are actually going to be positioning themselves. But that's going to do it all for our first game of the day. It's time to move on and talk about our second, Andy, because eUnited now face falling down to that elimination bracket if they can't send it to our game 3 here.
Yeah, this is, of course, do or die for them, and best of threes with this kind of format will be very, very quick, and they can be very punishing. These two teams have managed to stay in winners thus far, and they have a lot of wins on the board, very few losses, respectively. However, this is now eUnited's back against the wall. They need to win this to force a game 3, and you know that's exactly what they want to do. They want to stay through our winners as long as they can today, but they're going to have to show up here on Livefire, and the question is, are they going to match the pace of Cloud9 on Livefire? Will they try to slow things down a bit? When you're playing Slayer versus Ball or Strongholds on this map, you do have the option of slowing things down just a bit, but C9 is going to make that a pretty difficult task.
Yeah, it's the one thing that C9 hate to do is play a slow game, and even if you try and slow it down, they'll throw some bodies at you and make it very, very difficult to set up and really find some map positioning. I think it's going to be interesting to watch this game type and how these two teams play it, because eUnited, a lot of the players on this team, they like to be aggressive as well, Andy. We're saying C9 are one of the most aggressive teams, but you look at the likes of Rain, you look at the likes of Ryanoob, those guys are sneaky, those guys are nerdy, and they'll find ways to get those flanks.
Oh, and Spartan and King Nick too, right? These are players who love to hold forward. They're confident in their own shot. They're confident in their teammates. I don't think that result in game number 1 really showed us what eUnited's capable of. I think we saw really just pure dominance from C9, and we didn't really get to see too many signs of life from eUnited, but you make a great point. So much talent on this eUnited roster as well, and I expect them to put up a good fight here. I'd be pretty surprised if this was just as much of a landslide as game number 1 that we see in game number 2.
Let's talk about eUnited. Let's pick your brains a little bit here, Andy. Who's the player player who's going to be the spark to get them back into this series, to send it to that game 3, capture the flag on Aquarius. Who are you looking to really step up and have a big Slayer game here?
I think for me it's King Nick, and the only reason I say that is King Nick has quickly become a really familiar name over the last few years, 5+ years in competitive Halo. However, certainly the most junior in terms of veteranship seniority on that team. So King Nick, definitely the player that I'm looking to see him continue to step up. And I think players that don't think of King Nick as a household name, what he's looking to do over Infinite is change that, right? The 3 players that he's next to certainly have a little bit more of a legacy and a tenure in competitive Halo. However, King Nick, I think, is the player I'm going to be keeping an eye on. The guy's absolutely capable of going off. And Infinite's a big opportunity for him to really show that he belongs on these main stages, that he is going to try to put up a fight for the entire Infinite 2021-2022 season. King Nick's my guy.
Yeah, I think it's a great shout. I think he's certainly a player who's putting the time back in Halo 5, just waiting for that opportunity. And now the opportunity has arrived for him on this roster. So King Nick, a lot of pressure on the shoulders, but certainly a player who can perform at that kind of level that the rest of his teammates are going to be expecting. Let's talk about the game type. Let's talk about Slayer. Let's talk about live fire, Andy, because we've got some new elements. We've got the sniper rifle on this map, and it's going to be a lot of kind of fast-paced action, but as you say, there's also ways to try and slow this game down.
Yeah, there's really interesting ways that this map in a Slayer plays a little bit differently than, say, a Ball or a Stronghold, because on Slayer, you're really going to start to see a lot of these nerdy spots, angles, and routes get highlighted that are not afforded in the pace of a game like Ball or Stronghold. So definitely keep an eye on the way that teams do a little bit of tug of war, push and pull. When do they hold the gas pedal all the way down and fly and collapse on opponents? And when do they bring it back, slow it down just a bit? If I had to make a very loose comparison, not too dissimilar to something like the way that Halo 3 Pit Slayer was played, you can go all in and collapse repeatedly, or there's times where you absolutely have to slow down. Whichever team is able to kind of walk that tightrope, walk that balance the best, is going to be the team that comes out on top here as we get into game number 2 in just a moment.
Just a reminder for everyone watching as well, if you're loving what you're seeing from C9, or if eUnited managed to get back into this game and make a fan of you, go and pick up their skins in the store. They look awesome. Support the players, support the teams, as we have a look at some of the items that are going to be available for the players to try and get a lead and try and establish a win here in our first of 50 team Slayer. It's going to be the point of view here of Stella to start things off. He just flies straight down top mid, but it'll be 2 kills exchanged, and it'll actually be a pretty hot start for eUnited at the moment. 2 versus 2. They hold off that initial push. However, Heatwave now being picked up by one of the Cloud9 members, Penguin. That's going to be very strong in those close range battles.
Certainly, yeah, an interesting little exchange there as they're going to trade back and forth and just try to stay alive throughout that first exchange. But interesting to see just how fast C9 did try to fly into the C base. They went straight to tower. They wasted no time. Now they're checking every corner. That's one thing I want to point out on set. Did you see how they checked those corners? There's a lot of that needed in Halo Infinite. You need to check your corners more than you ever have maybe in another Halo title. Expect teams to clear out bases entirely, check every corner left and right, and then go ahead and push out.
It looks like at the moment there's a little bit of a confusion about where players are here for Cloud9. They did manage to get the overshield as well, but I'm not sure if that's been negated and kind of taken out of commission, so to speak. What a sneaky spot again from Eco. Gets some great shots here onto one of the eUnited players. That player will be taken down as well, so Penguin will also fall, and that'll be just kills exchanged. But 7-5, a pretty close game at the start here.
It is, and that spot on that double stack outside of Nessa are the things I'm talking about. You're not going to see that angle as commonly in a Strongholds or a Ball because it just doesn't make sense for the flow of the game. But when you have Slayer, all of the nerdy nooks and crannies that you see on this map are going to come into play, and they can really be a big factor depending on exactly where these teams are set up.
Well, Spartan's looking for a pick at the moment, just seeing if anything can get going. But look at the pace of this one, Andy. You mentioned how the game can slow down, and that's what Cloud9 will try and do if it does slow down. They will try and be aggressive. They will try and be the instigators. But this might just work into the hands of eUnited here, as Spartan does some good work with the Mangler, manages to get a couple of kills on the board, but finally will be pushed bottom middle here by Penguin.
Yeah, nice little lead here off the break, 10-7. Finally, with a little bit of top tower control. They also cleared out Nest and B right now, so just going to try to go ahead and try to get across the map if they can. A few more kills on the board, going to give them a little bit of a cushion here. Let's see how they play this. If they try to apply pressure right away to Garage, another kill goes to them. So now actually doubling their opponent's score. For just a moment, a very good string of kills coming in for eUnited as they step up in game number 2.
Renegade just trying to stay alive here for Cloud9 at the moment. However, he's just getting beamed from the top of the tower at the moment. His shields are getting melted, but wow. I mean, talk about confidence. You know you got a teammate there. He recharges and he manages to pick up one. But again, that's going to be a couple of players falling for Cloud9 here. And they are falling into that trap that eUnited is setting. They're playing a little bit more passive. They're waiting for the mistakes here of Cloud9, and they're capitalizing on it.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at Spartan and Koenig already. 6 kills and 8 kills respectively there for them, and just great numbers on the board this early in the game. Keep in mind, their opponents have 10 kills total, and these guys are running with 14 kills right now. Absolutely controlling the game, King Nick and Spartan.
Shots coming in. Oh, wonderful shots coming in from Spartan as well. That's going to be a double kill for him. And I'm sure if we were at a live event right now, or if this was Rally itself, you would be hearing Spartan making some noise across the stage. But for now, the kill will be exchanged. It's 13 kills here for Cloud9, 19 for eUnited. So a pretty solid start for them. However, sniper rifle, the ultimate game changer here, and it's fallen into the hands of Cloud9 and into the hands of Stella.
Yep, fresh snipe on the hands. He did see the spawners there on dummies, by the way. You saw that on his screen. He was able to get that, but right away lit up. It's a great set of pressure from eUnited right away. They don't waste any time. Tries to get the change on the wave. Not going to come out, but the kill will be cleaned up as well. So it'll stay pretty close. 21-17 here in favor of eUnited.
Eco going back tower here, trying to see if he can find that sniper rifle, but it looks like it might have escaped to the hands of everyone at the moment, as all of a sudden this game's got a lot tighter, Andy. 21-17, a couple of kills in a row going down to Cloud9, and have started to make this a lot more interesting as we see a 1v1 top middle. The repulsor comes in to send Eco back to have a think about that challenge, but look where he ends up, right behind another player bottom mid, and it actually works out in his favor.
Yeah, sometimes you just get repulsed to somewhere else on the map and it ends up working out well for you. That's a rare example of that, where in the end they're able to pick up a few kills. But like you said, this game much closer than maybe it should be if you're a fan of eUnited, because they did just have that 7-point or so lead. It's been diminished now to just 3.
Just 3, and you can see in front of a C9 player, Renegade, who we're watching right now, has managed to pick up that overshield. He's still got about half of it left as well. He should be able to solidify this kill. He does not back down, this man, and when you give him extra layers of shield, then he's going to be even more confident as well. So that's a big moment here. As you can see, he's trying to push in behind the garage as well, and if he can catch a flank or just stay alive, he's going to be a real thorn in the side here of eUnited.
Yeah, fakes garage for just a second, then goes top mid sandbags, forces a player off of front sandbags. Very well done here. And also you see one thing we saw from Renegade jumping off of boxes when he had overshield, making sure to not get into that melee range. As anyone who's been playing Infinite knows, the melee range is where things get messy, and you really want to avoid that, especially if you have an overshield. Win these battles clean. Do not force those melee trades. Instead, try to win the battles from a distance. But just like that, it's a 1-kill game.
Look at this flank coming in here as well from Renegade. He manages to do the damage for his teammate to move in and pick up one, and now he's going to be chasing down this player bottom middle. What a push this is from Cloud9, and now we have a lead exchange. A C9 find themselves up by 2.
You hear that half-game music there, just like you said, 25-24. A miss of the no-scope coming in from Stellar, going to try to pop up, but does find 2. Needs to be careful here, and actually gets away somehow with the Ryan Noob kill as well. Tries to go pillars and manages to still get away, stay alive. Just like that, Cloud9 has taken the lead here. That's heartbreaker already for the side of eUnited. After we said up by 7 or 8 kills earlier on, just like that, their lead is gone. Now they're trailed by 2.
Now the question is, can eUnited do what Cloud9 did to turn this one around once more? Still very tight here, so a couple of kills is all it takes. However, every single time that you see a player get picked off, it's good news for eUnited if they get that first kill. But those shots from Eco, this man, he's not missed a beat since every time I've watched him ever play Halo. He just doesn't miss, and he's always making the right decisions.
Love that play from Eco there. He just sits in the notch. Notice he does not drop down if he doesn't need to. Instead, just holds. Always can drop down if the opportunity needs to come through, but now going to have to challenge it. Power up the back whack comes in there from Renegade. That's a huge double team there. Crucial moment in the game. They will extend their lead even further.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. That was a chance for eUnited to do something special, but all of a sudden, when that power-up that you've worked so hard to position for and get in your hands is eliminated almost immediately, it leaves a little bit of a sour taste in the back of your mouth, to be honest with you. 31-27 the score at the moment. Still pretty close, but a 4-kill deficit. That's a full team wipe here that needs to be picked up for eUnited without taking any damage themselves. And with the way they're moving at the moment, it's looking like Cloud9 is still picking up those kills, and 3 players now full spot and last alive.
Yeah, trades going in there. Let's take a look back at the sniper rifle here. You saw a few kills there off screen all the way over at dummies as well as bottom mid. They will be exchanged, but now just like that, 35-28. And C9 is looking to just continue this exact pace that they've now set. Sniper rifle control as well. Look at that. Not content holding tower. Instead, going to get a little more interested in these angles that might be available top middle. Try to see if they can find anything front sandbags, front A.
Stella just staring through that garage door, seeing if you can get any kind of a indication there's going to be a forehead or a little bit of hair atop of the helmet, whatever it might be. He's going to take that opportunity should it present itself, but the game has slowed down a little bit here because eUnited are more than aware that Cloud9 do have that sniper rifle in their hands. Renegade did get taken down, so it's now 4v3 on the map in favor of eUnited. And it looks like they might have picked up another one as well, so there might be some pressure coming on the tower pretty soon. You can see holding back tower at the moment with that sniper rifle is going to be Stella. But eUnited doing a good job not to give any easy kills away yet.
Absolutely. As we take a look there, a few different angles that are being challenged, but just staying alive for now. Still a 5-kill game. Let's not count eUnited out of this. They've had an unlucky side of the streak there. Nice finish on the back pillars from Stellar. That's a big kill, but let's not count them out just yet. They've had a definitely less than ideal stretch these last few. Let's see if Stellar can try to hit this headshot. Gonna try to get cheeky on that overshield as it does pop.
Oh, Stellar. You just knew it was going to happen. It was written in the stars there as Cloud9 show that every single member of their team can do something special with a power weapon in their hands. Now they'll pick up that overshield. It's Eco who's going to be able to pop that one as well. So this is looking like all of a sudden it's got out of hand, as now you're going to see Stellar pushing forward, doing damage, working with his teammates. And this is just classic Cloud9.
It absolutely is, and that was the moment that we were wondering if things would break open, and my God, did they ever. It was just a 5-kill game. Now it's 46-34, only 4 more kills for Cloud9 to 2-0 here in the winner's bracket.
Make that 3 as one player falls. Eco picks up the kill on King Nick. There's going to be a player flying forward with the heat wave, but again, the teamwork is exemplary from Cloud9, who wrap up the series 2-0 with a 50-35 win.
15 kills there from Stellar, the largest on his team there. And you know what, I have to say, I'll eat my words. 50-35, pretty dominating scoreline in the end. Certainly more signs of life from eUnited. We saw them with a pretty great lead early on, and we actually saw them pushing those rotations well. But Cloud9 just playing that so well. A little bit of a tortoise versus the hare there, as they just played so confident throughout the entire game, and they close it out with a huge scoreline, 50-35. Like we said, 15 kills from Stellar, 14 from Renegade as well.
Yeah, so well done across the board, to be honest with you. You mentioned King Nick, and a decent game from him, but unfortunately Rain having a little bit of a stinker in that particular game. Not what he would have wanted to see, but I think it's more the C9 show. This is what we can expect from them, Andy, moving forward in Halo Infinite. The pace at which they play the game when they put their foot down is so impressive, but also one thing I was impressed about was, you know, their ability to actually slow things down in this game as we take a look at the highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a look here at exactly how that game went down. And you'll remember early on, eUnited just looking like they were poised to just get this series to 1-1. They were already looking to game 3, but quickly things changed off the break. It was pretty even here as we take a look at that opening rush, as you'll remember, but things changed right around that 20 kill mark on set. It started to look a lot different.
This was the big play that came in from Spartan, I believe, managing to pick up these kills early on. And like you said, Andy, it was eUnited who were doing the initial damage in this game. They had a nice lead, just 19-12 here. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's a credit to eUnited trying to keep that pace up, trying to put the pressure onto Cloud9, or if it was Cloud9 just being able to negate that and then just being able to rack up the kills. One of the most devastating things in Halo full stop has always been if you lose 3 or 4 players consecutively, because then you get those spawns, you get the staggered spawns, and you're fighting in difficult positions. Cloud9 got that once, I think, in the game, and when they did, it was around when Stellar got that sniper rifle. It was over before it almost eUnited had a chance to get back into things.
And this was that last power-up exchange. As you see, the game's going to tick down here, and essentially this is the last set of battles that actually was the game decider. But my God, as we bring everyone back in here, as we take a look at that last game result, and 2-0 C9 off of the break.